number 1, Mason Domas, 6'3", 200-pound senior. The starting guard, number 10, Caleb Wagner, as Minnesota State takes the tip. Alongside the forward, number 15, Max Miller. The guard, number 20, Devin Whitelow. And the forward, number 24, Kevion Taylor. And that's brought down by Taylor, given to Whitelow, and the Warriors will set up offense. On the side of MSU, it looks like number 0, Jawan McLeod. Number 1, Jamal Nixon. Number 2, Carlos Anderson. Number 21, Cameron Kirksey, and a surprise start here for the senior, number 22, Carson Ehrenholtz, as Krieger starts on the bench. And that pull-up jumper from Wagner is nothing but short, and it doesn't even hit net.
Yeah, I think Coach Matt Margenthaler is happy with Ehrenholtz's play, coming off the bench and providing a lot of great minutes in the last home games, and then apparently doing quite well on the road there. So good for Ehrenholtz to see a start in action or starting role tonight.
And that shot is wide, blocked down by Domask. And if you're MSU, you're on a 3-game winning streak here, and you have played tremendous basketball over these 3 games, especially last game, and that's a big game from the senior 6'4", 205-pounder Carlos Anderson in that overtime victory in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, putting up 30 points and 8 boards.
Yeah, they got versatile big guys that can hit you from different angles rather than just under the basket at the low block. Like this example right here, shot no good, but they can turn around like Kirksey did right there and hit that jump shot at a high percentage. So it's really tough to guard those guys, especially Kirksey and Krieger, as they can have a good rotation off the bench, and it really keeps teams on their toes when having to play against them and try to defend both.
And with McLeod hitting the deck, Whitelow's wide open for the 3-pointer, and that puts the Warriors up on the board.
Yeah, Coach Magenthaler is looking for a legal screen there as McLeod got knocked to the floor there. I think he had a case, but nonetheless, the ref let him play.
Speaking of McLeod, McLeod's coming off a game where, a 3-game stretch in that 3 games stretch of a winning streak. They are relying on him heavily as he's averaging 18 points and 2 assists, shooting 70% from the free throw line, along with 35% from beyond the arc. And that's just a big thing that, Jawan McLeod can do. With Cameron Kirksey out, they needed him to step up, and boy, did he ever.
Yeah, and you can see the command he takes at the top of the key when he brings the ball across the half-court line. He really gets defenders and gives himself a two-way go, gets defenders on their heels, and he does a great job at penetrating down the lane and also having the vision to find the open shooters around the perimeter. And a lot of the offense starts and ends up going through McLeod in the big moments in the game, in the clutch moments, if you will, in the game.
And Kevion Taylor with the bucket, and that's 2 as the Winona State Warriors get out to an early 5-0 lead.
Yeah, he looks like he could be a big threat, getting to the rim, but also playing good low-post offense and defense. So we'll see what Kevion Taylor brings to the table. It's a nice little up and under finish by Kirksey.
As Kirksey gets his first points of the afternoon and puts the Mavericks up on the board. And here's number 1, Domask, as his shot's long, brought down by Ehrenholtz.
Good job by Ehrenholtz going up at the highest point and grabbing the ball.
And there's McLeod with a nice finish.
See, that's exactly what I was just talking about a moment ago. Does a great job controlling the ball. Is a great ball handler as well, and really makes a nice, easy glide to the hole every time. Great job by McLeod.
And the board by McLeod as he pushes it up to Anderson. And that's a nice play there defensively by Caleb Wagner, the junior out of Muskego, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was a good hustle play. They let him sneak out behind him a little bit, but Wagner doing a great job of hustling down the floor and getting in there to contest the easy dunk there.
And it looks like, in fact, Kirksey is going to be on a minutes limit here as Carter Ash comes into the ball game for the big fella from Apple Valley.
Yeah, that's a smart choice by the coaching staff in Minnesota State. Let him work back in, find a rhythm, and get back in touch with the guys on offense.
And the jumper, and that's a 3 by Carlos Anderson, and it's a 7-0 run here by Minnesota State.
Yeah, Anderson's a lot a lot of the time the X factor in a lot of these games so far this season. He's a guy like right there that is able to hit the three ball at a pretty good consistency rate, and he also has the size and strength to play down low in the power forward position. So he's a real versatile player and really makes a lot of matchup problems for opposing teams.
And Carlos Anderson is a guy that doesn't need much space, as that's a nice drive and finish by Devin Whitlow to tie this ball game up.
Yeah, McLeod and Anderson are very similar in the fact that they're very versatile and efficient in the many things they're able to do. Of course, McLeod is the one that calls the offense, does the dribble, most of the dribbling, and getting the ball into the open hands, much like Anderson and the rest of the scorers. But as you can see, Anderson now being able to back down the defender after just hitting a three ball. So those two guys are very efficient in what they do and versatile in what they do.
Nixon's jumper's no good. And that's a rebound by Max Miller, his second so far here early in this ball game. And the jumper by Taylor will go in and out.
See, and those are the kind of shots you like defensively. Really good. Shut them down and make them put up a quick shot. That wasn't the best shot. Big block there by Wagner, I believe.
And that's Wagner's second. Wow, Wagner is doing a lot defensively. And then Carter Lass says, I'll see you and I'll raise you.
That is the truth right there. Good defense by both teams here. A few lapses on both sides, but overall, very tightly contested first 5 minutes of this half.
And this is everything that you expected it to be. And Winona State was coming off a 4-game winning streak when they dropped 2 at home last week, and both just heartbreakers. As, in fact, their overtime victory, they turned it over with 0.4 seconds left, and Wayne State threw an inbounds pass, layup, and it was good. And that's just the way that they went into overtime, and then no one had anything to show for it as they went 2 from 14 from the field in overtime.
Yeah, sometimes those letdowns are more detrimental than just at that moment, meaning getting into a later part of an overtime. You have that letdown, let a team back in and force it in overtime. Sometimes that's enough to change that momentum as much like it did, but looking at both these teams, I think they're kind of similar in how they're structured and have versatile players, as you can see early on with Kevion here for Winona State being able to do much like the Carlos Anderson role I've been talking about for them. So it's going to be really who can play better defense. More stops is going to be the key to this game, because I think both teams can get to the rim at a pretty consistent rate, but also do it at a successful clip. So I think defense is going to be the big key tonight.
And the two things that we were looking at before we came here and we were talking about it is the two biggest factors here in this ballgame for Winona State that they need to ask a lot from tonight is both coming from both sophomores, number 20, Devin Whitlow, and number 24, Kevion Taylor. But they both have started off pretty good tonight, as Whitelow's already got himself 5 points and Taylor's got himself a bucket early.
Yeah, I think they got a young nucleus for Winona State. So it's going to take some time for them to fully gel and get to know one each other on the court. And I think that may attribute to some of the lackluster late game performances they've had of late. It's having a young core of players that maybe haven't worked out all the fine wrinkles of their offense or just meshing together. So we'll see if they can put the pieces together tonight to finish the game if it comes down to that kind of conclusion.
And that's a nice jumper in the lane, but that's off the mark. And now into the ball game for Minnesota State is the freshman, 6'1", 170-pounder, Trey Bumgarner. And then alongside this, I noticed this, as Juwan McLeod normally wears long sleeves, but he decided to forego that conclusion today as he's going just shirtless. And that's a nice pickpocket there by Jamal Nixon.
Got an unforced turnover there by Kevion. But I think those are some of the mistakes he'll have in the young players. Wow.
And that is smooth as silk from Juwan McLeod, and that's a three-pointer.
Yeah, just looking at the release of that from the angle we saw that, I think we knew that was golden right from the get-go.
Yeah, we were at a perfect angle, and there's an easy layup from Max Miller.
One of those simple things that high school basketball and young coaches will tell you, keep your feet. If Carter kept his feet right there, he could have been able to get up and over for that block, but nonetheless, a good finish.
As McLeod got the screen, and there's a switch, and there's a huge mismatch, and Nixon's looking for the ball. And here's Carter Ash, the corner, three-pointer is good. And the Mavericks are lighting it up early here from beyond the arc.
And that's what McLeod does. He makes the defense retreat more into the paint, and he has the wherewithal to see Carter out the right side and makes a beautiful pass on target right in shooting position. And that's a great call by the official there. It was a good job by Anderson battling for position, getting number 15 for Winona, Miller, to give him a shove in the back and maybe a little bit of acting and a little bit of physicality, but nonetheless an offensive foul.
And Kirksey's back into this ball game. And Carter Ash will have a seat, and there goes Jamal Nixon, and now in is Quincy Anderson. And 3 players go have a seat for Winona State. And now into this ball game is number 5, Alec Rosner. Number 12, Delonte Payton, and number 11, Luke Martins. And here's Quincy Anderson as he's got his first action. And Kirksey got a little bit of a breather. He didn't get much, but he got just enough for him to come back into this ball game. And that jumper is off the side of the rim. And that looks like a little bit of sloppy play here by Minnesota State.
Yeah, got into the old adage, took his eye off it before he had it, looking to get a shot up, but didn't corral it all the way.
And Winona State, like I said, is coming off a 2-point skid at home as they dropped both home games last weekend, as they had a stretch of 6 consecutive home games where they won by 4, where they won 4 in a row to start it off, and their average margin of victory was over 23 points a game.
Yeah, some days you have it, some days you don't, and that's another trait that you'll see in some of these young teams, is that up and down inconsistent play. Winona State has plenty of talent, young talent at that here on their roster. And so you'll have that sometimes, and you see it a lot in other sports too. When you got a good young group, sometimes their inexperience shows more than their talent, and that may have happened at some point throughout that skid there.
And there's a turnover, nice defensive play by Payton. And Taylor will kick it out to Payton on the wing. Taylor's corner jumper, no good. Brought down by Anderson, and he'll look to push. As he looks and dump it into Bumgarner as he's fouled, and he's going to the line for 2.
Got a little carried away right there, but able to settle in and find Bumgarner coming down the lane, and a nice recovery and opportunity at a free 2.
And we look at some stats here. Bumgarner from the free throw line this season is 90%, 9 for 10 on attempts. And he'll make that 10 for 11.
Probably not the guy you want to foul late in a game if you're in a tight ball game there.
No, not particularly. As here comes free throw attempt number 2. And that's good, and that gives Minnesota State a 4-point lead here with 11 minutes to go and 9 minutes down. Payton looking for nothing. That's a nice D by Anderson. The jumper just inside the arc, and that'll rattle home.
Seeing a lot of different looks here defensively from Winona State. Going from man 3-2 to a 2-3 early here in the first half of the first half. Kirksey's doing a great job defending.
And here's Payton from long range. And Bumgarner will look to push at the top of your screen. Bumgarner with a nice move. The layup good. Trey Bumgarner showing what he can do to this Winona State defense.
Yeah, very shifty move to get in between the defenders, and a nice little Euro step for the lay-in. It's good to have a guy like that that can come in and provide high-quality minutes for a guy like McLeod. It's a long season, college basketball, so being able to get some of your starters and studs, if you will, a little bit of a break every now and then to keep them as fresh as possible, it's always a good thing. And when you got a guy performing like Bumgarner and someone like him who is very solid, as we just mentioned, from the free throw line, makes it very easy to give those guys the opportunity to get in there and have some quality minutes and develop their game in real life competition here today at the Breslin Arena.
And Trey Bumgardner, last home game against Concordia, was lights out from beyond three-point range, and he's doing it a little bit tonight where he, instead of just relying on his three-point ability and shooting ability, he's going to go strictly to let's drive and see what happens so I can get hacked and go to the line.
Yeah, and that goes back to, I think, a lot of the game plan for the Mavericks is they got a lot of athletic guys that are really good at penetrating the lane. When you get there and you get those and one opportunities and get some of the better players on your opponents in foul trouble, it really helps pay dividends in the long run of the game. And it ties back into having a good free throw shooter or a handful of them that can make those trips in line worthwhile, if you will. So it's a really good overall combination right now, and no need to settle for those tight or contested jump shots from outside of the lane when you can get there and get an easy two every time.
And here's Nick Klug as he'll dish it out to the wing. Peyton with the drive, nothing there.
That's a great defensive rotation there by the Mavericks. Staying in position, good communication, and help defense.
And that's a nice offensive board by Martins.
Nice block. Kirksey timed that one perfectly to get a nice easy block.
Anderson with the step-in three is good. And that's assist by Trey Baumgartner.
Once these Mavericks get going, they get going at a high rate of speed. It takes them a little bit sometimes to find the rhythm, but when they do, their guard play is, bar none, probably some of the best in the conference.
And that's a nice play there by Kirksey to get it in. And that's nice hustle by Baumgartner as he hits the deck but recovers. And that's a nice hesitation by Alec Rosner, and he gets the bucket.
Yeah, sure, they got that layup there after a lot of just sloppy play offensively for him. But if you're head coach Matt Margenthaler, you got to be really, really happy with how your defense just performed.
On the wing, that jumper's good from Frankie Mack. And this is one of the first few times that we've seen Frankie Mack here in this ball game, as we haven't seen Kevin Krieger's name yet called this afternoon, as he hasn't played at all.
Yeah, it's good to see these guys come in and fill in for Krieger, as it looks like he is out sitting on the end of the bench there. So you're going to see some unconventional combinations, if you will, that we're not used to seeing by McIntyre. But we're having pretty good success so far with some of these newish bigs down there. But getting Kirksey back, they really need that one centerpiece, if you will, to run the offense through. And when you have McLeod and Kirksey or Krieger, you're in a good position most nights. And then this hot upcoming here, Baumgartner lately, has really provided extra help that in depth needed for this team.
And that jumper by Aaron Holtz is short, and there's a jump ball. As the refs are discussing, and they in fact will go to a jump ball, and it does look like it goes in favor of Winona State, and they'll basically clear house here as all four out of the 5 starters come back onto the floor.
Yeah, I think they were discussing if the ball hit the rim and if they had a shot clock violation before the jump ball, but ultimately they settled on it being a jump ball.
And I don't know why they thought it was maybe a shot clock violation in the fact that it did hit the front rim with 5 seconds to go, but then again, yeah, we all know how sports go. So
exactly.
We'll just keep it at that. And here's Whitelow and the Winona State offense down by 10 with 7:30 to go. Wagner back into the ball game. Wagner needs to get himself going and in the scoring column.
It's been very impressive to watch so far, this man-to-man defense from your Mavericks. Very smooth rotation and getting in position and staying in position very well and not receding too much in the help defense where they get caught out of position getting back to their guy. So very, very good job by this Maverick defense already.
That's a nice take by Quincy Anderson as he gets himself an easy layup.
You got to be really happy if you're part of the MNSU coaching staff here. You got these guys that are normally coming off the bench out here making big plays and playing a big role, so it's really promising. Wow.
That's a pretty move by number 0, Jawan McLeod.
My ankles hurt just sitting up here. I couldn't imagine playing. needs to get him some figure 8 braces on those things after that.
Wow, and then, like we were saying earlier, led by the play of Jawan McLeod, and he's having himself a nice little start to his afternoon here as the clock shows 6:40 with the timeout by Winona State as they have 2 remaining to go into this ball game, and they've used 2 straight away here, but you gotta like what you're starting to see with the guys that you typically don't see. Frankie Mack getting in on the action. You got Quincy Anderson, Trey Baumgartner, and all these young guys coming in. And if you're not a particular Maverick basketball viewer, you don't hear these names quite often. I mean, you see Trey Baumgartner come in and you see Quincy Anderson, but you see them in about 15 minutes a game if you're lucky, because you got Jawan McLeod, Jamal Nixon, and Carlos Anderson that take up most of those time. But Frankie Mack getting on the action, I kind of love it. You're going deep into your bench.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of one of those things back home, University of Vermont men's basketball years ago, when they played Syracuse University in the NCAA tournament. It's one of those things where they don't really know you. Who is little Vermont playing big-time Syracuse? So being those guys that don't normally see a lot of the court, kind of being unknown is a positive for them, because that team, the opponents don't really know what to expect. So it kind of makes them a little hesitant to commit to one thing or another when they anticipate defensively what they're going to do.
And that is the third turnover of the game for Minnesota State. And they're pretty much even in that department, as Winona State has only got 4 turnovers so far. And that's a nice D by Jawan McLeod as there's 10 to shoot. He'll kick it back out to Whitelow at half court. And there's 4. Whitelow can't corral it, and that's a nice D. And here comes Quincy Anderson to push.
Yeah, so far, Kirksey has been a beast playing defense here for the Mavericks tonight. Very handsy, finding great positioning on the low block, defending the forwards of Winona State, and doing a good job about breaking up plays in the paint, just like that last one with Whitelow trying to drive to the rim.
And Kirksey, they really missed his defensive play, as there he is again. He didn't really, jump. He just kept his ground, and that's not something we've seen, and that's something that he's been missed. As that block and one from Jawan McLeod as he'll go to the line to shoot another one.
Maybe it was a good thing he took off the long sleeve, because ever since then, he's gotten hotter.
And he ain't cooling down anytime soon.
He is fun to watch, that's for sure. Don't know how he got up and over and maintained the control of that ball there, but nonetheless, he found a way to do it. Quite impressive.
He came here last year as a transfer from Northern Iowa, and my goodness, Matt Margenthaler couldn't be any happier.
Makes a lot of things easier when calling offense, having a guy like that. And he's done a good job of recruiting guys that seem to have a very tenacious sense of defense. They understand that the game's played on 2 sides of the floor, and he's gotten a guy in McLeod, Kirksey, and a few others that contribute greatly on the defensive side and are always playing hard defensive ball and have very few letdowns so far tonight.
And you know what I like to see? A defensive played game. Not many fouls, as both teams combined have 5 fouls, and that was the first on Minnesota State here tonight, and 4 on the side of Winona State. So I like that they're just letting them play, and they're just showing them, hey guys, you guys are men. Let's see what you guys can do.
Yeah, and well, when you're shooting the ball like Minnesota State, getting a spread like this, and playing great man defense, and they're not fouling, not a lot of hand checking going on, and the game's going really fast. We're already under 5 minutes left here in the first half, and Minnesota State, it's got everything clicking on all cylinders right now. Defensively, McLeod is playing out of his head right now and getting guys contributing, as we've mentioned many times already, that don't normally get this opportunity here, and they're out here performing and making big things, especially some of these guys like Frankie Mack and Carter Ash, who are getting more minutes here with Krieger out tonight, and they're really stepping up to their own personal challenge from their coaches here. So as a whole, you got to just be very pleased with all facets here, really limiting the second chance opportunities offensively for Winona State. And then when they get to the rim, they're either finishing or going to the line and converting that way. So everything just culminating into a very, very good outcome right now.
Yeah. And Jawan McLeod leads all scorers with 10, and this is something that you completely expected from the point guard.
Right.
Like it's nothing unusual and nothing new. You just love to see it. And Morgenthaler, and then your backup point guard, Trey Bumgardner, comes in and has 6. And you love every minute of it. Is what you do. You can't ask for enough from your point guards. They're distributing the basketball. They're both perfect from the field. And it's just an all-around great defensive effort and offensive effort here in the first half from both point guards here for Minnesota State.
Absolutely. The great defense up top there. It was tipped, so it'll stay Minnesota ball without the over and back violation.
And here is Bumgardner. Bumgardner with 6. He'll pull up. And that'll hit the rim, brought down by Wagner, and he'll push.
And one thing, too, just thinking ahead of how this really benefits the Minnesota State Mavericks, is that they're 3-0 in conference play already, and it's still very, very early in the season here. And they already got 8, 9, 10, and even 10 deep off the bench, getting some considerable minutes, at least 5. And that's huge when you can get that going early and don't have to just rely on your 5 to 7 man rotation to get the job done in games.
Yeah.
So being able to have great depth out on the floor is probably going to be a big, vital part going forward in late in conference play. Come tournament time here in March.
And that's a nice pass there, finding Anderson. And Bumgardner will go to the line for 2. And that's just another aspect there that McLeod brings. That's his vision.
Yeah.
His vision is impeccable. Court awareness. He absolutely threw a dart over to Anderson on the opposite wing, and they weren't even expecting it.
Yeah, he doesn't anticipate what his pass is going to be. He definitely goes by feel and vision, and he's almost 98.9% correct on his decision most of the time there. And he is impressive. One thing about Bumgardner, too, he's crafty for a small guy when he gets the ball under the basket. When he gets down to that land of trees, he's able to find a way to get up a quality shot. And as you see, he got to the line there going against a much bigger player from Winona State. So he does a great job with the ball offensively.
As he went 1 for 2 on that, and that'll rattle home for Taylor as that's a 3-pointer to cut this lead to 13.
Yeah, he didn't miss a part of that rim, though, with that shot there. He covered all part of that circumference.
I think that hit about 8 times before it finally went down. So here's Anderson on the block. He'll do a fadeaway, and that's nothing but twine.
It's a good shot. It went in, right? Still counts for 2, but those are the kind of things you kind of want to stay away from, I feel like, if you're Coach Matt Morgenthaler. There's no need to pull up and fade away as this shot's off the mark there.
But that was just good D, though, too, from Caleb Wagner on that play. And he just kind of had to do whatever to get all the separation.
Yeah.
So he threw the big old Dirk Nowitzki, I'll throw the knee up and you can't touch it.
That's true.
And Nixon doesn't hit nothing. Brought down by Whitelow as he fights it off. And he'll jog up the court. And Whitelow has not attempted a shot here since starting, and he's still in the lead, and he hasn't attempted a shot within the last 11 minutes.
Yeah, they're having a little bit of a meltdown as Mason Domas threw the ball out of bounds, and the miscommunication between him and his teammate is really not a good look for the Winona State offense here. Struggling, kind of faltering here a little bit.
And the pass out to Bumgardner with 15 to shoot. Here's Anderson on the wing. We'll find Kirksey on the baseline. He'll drive, and that's a foul on Kevion Taylor. That is Taylor's first, team 6th.
That's a good job initially by Kevion. He got Kirksey good 4 or 5 feet off the block and had good position, and then kind of came at him and threw the lower body into him. A little unnecessary as he had great position on him.
And they'll just throw it in just to get it in, and here's McLeod to set it up. He's got options on both sides. Kirksey, Bumgardner on the wing.
Yeah, you can see the defense they had right there on McLeod because they know he's really good off the pick and roll. They had each defender up on one side of him to guard the roller right away, and the other one's going to pick him up. You can see how much he affects this team opposing teams right away just by his own skill set.
Alec Rosner with the corner three is good, and that is cut to 12. And he is from Appleton, Wisconsin, and he's starting to heat up here for the Winona State, and they're going to call an offensive foul here on Carlos Anderson. And that'll be a technical foul on Anderson, as after that play, he just dropped the ball and it landed on, I believe that was, I believe that was Taylor.
Yeah.
I believe it was Taylor.
Yeah.
And
I don't understand why these athletes do this sometimes. You see it a lot in the NFL and in football when they get tackled, they kind of flick the ball or drop the ball near their opponent that did it. Like, why are you trying to be sly with it when you know you're going to get a flag for it, or in this case, technical foul, and give them an easy possession and allow them to possibly get this game down to 10 after having it as high as 17. Just kind of a mental lapse there that you can't really be having.
And Whitelow's free throws are both good, and that'll throw him to 9 points on the afternoon in this first half, and he is the leading scorer for Winona State. He'll kick it out to Rosner. Corner jumper by Payton, no good. Rebound, Winona State. And that's a nice Euro move by Delonte Payton.
Yeah, great effort by Payton that whole possession. Able to ultimately come back up with the ball since he started with it and got it easy too. Those are the kind of things right there. A technical foul, get 2 free possessions in essence. Lets them crawl back into it just a little bit.
And to me, that's almost a momentum changer. And they almost had that 4-point swing without even having to play defense.
Yeah.
And that's that one thing that technicals can cost you in so much. 4 points is absolutely crazy with this lead now down to 8 for Minnesota State. And here's Kirksey shooting 1-1.
Well, it's kind of a combination of a few mental lapses, much like that technical. And they've gone a bit cold here on the last 4 possessions here with no points to show for it. So that gap shrunk quite quick there for the Mavericks. See if the defense can pick up the intensity and get back to their earlier ways here with 26 seconds left.
And the game and shot clock is separated by 3.5 seconds. With 15 to shoot, here's Whitelow and Bumgardner backed up in the top of the corner. And there's 10 to shoot. Whitelow looking to drive, nothing. Here's the shot by Klug, and that one drops.
Yeah,
the lead is to 5. Here's McLeod with 3, 2, and the floater is no good. And Minnesota State will end and go into the locker room with a 5-point lead. And looks like the Warriors ended that half on an 8-0 run, which is something that they finally got it going.
Yeah, they're
bounding it to McLeod. With a 5-point margin here, we are set to go. Here's Jawan McLeod looking for Anderson, guarded by Whitelow. On the court for Minnesota State, Ehrenholtz, Nixon, Anderson, McLeod, and Kirksey. On the floor for Winona State with 15 to shoot. It looks like Domask, Wagner, Miller, Whitelow, and Taylor. And that looks like it's going to be a foul on Taylor as Kevion Taylor picks up his second.
Yeah, you see McLeod snarl a little bit. He caught Kevion all on his lower back there. Hopefully he's not too shaken up. It looks like he's going to be able to tough it out.
And that foul occurred with 9 to go on the shot clock, and the shot clock is reset because there's a foul, so it reset to 20. Kirksey's jumper from the elbow, and that's vintage KG right there.
Yeah, that's really, really tough stuff to defend when you play a guy like Kirksey there, because we know what he can do down low under the basket with his long reach and ability to get to the rim and finish. But you can't give him that much space as he's able just to pull up, and he had no other option. Makes a nice little easy jump shot from the right elbow.
And Taylor can't get that three-pointer to rattle home. Here's Kirksey trying one from deep. Well, that's rebounded by Domask. And here's Whitlow. Taylor on the wing. Domask guarded by Anderson. 18 to shoot. Whitelow mismatched with Kirksey. And he'll just take the big fella, and he gets rejected by the rim. Aaron Holtz, wing, jumper, nothing but net.
Great job by Aaron Holt. Really good job of the whole Maverick team spreading the court there on that fast break and able to stretch him out and get an open Aaron Holtz for a nice street ball.
Wagner answers back with a 3 of his own.
Seems to be the story of the game here. One team makes one, other team answers real quick.
And it seems like it's been that. You get a block, I get a block.
Right.
You turn it over, I'll turn it over. They're matching themselves in every single category.
The classic Michael Jordan, anything you can do, I can do better commercial.
Oh.
Isn't that with Larry Bird, if I'm not mistaken?
Maybe.
Or
I
is
don't
that,
know.
no, that was the McDonald's one where they play the crazy game of horse.
See, but if we're talking about basketball, and that's an offensive foul, and that will go against McLeod.
Man, I'm really showing my age with that old 90s commercial right there. I remember that, too. That's the crazy part.
What are you, 27?
You know, getting old. I'm almost on the backside of the prime, so might as well start showing the age, right?
You're fine. You're fine. You can still young and kick it, but who cares? I mean, you think you're feeling old. I'm turning 21 here, turning next semester, and I'm just like looking at it. I'm like, wow, I really do feel old.
Oh, for me, it's the football over the years that's really adding up on the body. I got.
Is it the back or the knees?
All, both, some bones that I never knew existed. I walk around like I'm 40, but I'm 27.
Yeah,
Not
and I
good.
think the basketball players know what you're talking about there too.
Certainly.
And here is Anderson looking for Kirksey as he gets double teamed on the low block. Here's Aaron Holtz. Anderson with 5 to shoot. McLeod against Whitelow. 3. McLeod loses it. Nixon will just throw it up. And that won't be it, and that's a shot clock violation.
Yeah, one of the few times you see McLeod stumble with the ball a little bit. Got to give props to the Winona State defense. A good job there on that defensive series.
And here is Winona State back on offense. Domask's 3 is good, and that cuts the lead to 4.
And we spoke about something needing to step up or someone needing to step up. And Mason Domas has certainly done that quickly here in the second half. 2 big three-pointers for him.
And after that three-pointer by Domask, I looked over at Morgenthaler as McLeod. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yep, he just found a way to make that shot and don't quite know how. He's very pure and smooth with the ball when it comes out of his hands.
And like I was pointing to, Coach Matt Morgenthaler, he knows that his defense kind of had a little bit of a collapse there towards the end of the first half. And that three-pointer by Domask, he kind of like bit his upper lip and was like, you know, there's really nothing you could do about that one. That was just a good shot. Because you got to admit, Anderson was literally right in his face. Like there was like probably maybe 1.5 to 2 feet within Domask, and he just put it up there and just tickling the twine.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can call the best defense in the world and it'll work, and sometimes you can call the worst defense in the world and it'll still work. So that was kind of the case of that right there. So listen, it's just kind of like what Mike Zimmer said today in a press conference of the Viking, is that sometimes coaches call a play that make the players look better, and sometimes coaches call a play that the players make the coaches look better. So a good job there by Domas there, and he's got his team right back in it again.
And here's Kirksey as he makes the first one of 2. And Cameron Kirksey here this afternoon has done a superb job on the defensive end. He is not allowing his opposing player to take advantage of. And he's keeping his feet on the ground and doing exactly what he's supposed to do and being stable and not allowing him to gain any ground towards the basket.
Yeah, he's got great length. Great length and great athleticism. So he's able to cover a plethora of different type of athletes for the opposing team. Because of his length, he can stay with some of these guards and give him a little space so he doesn't get beat. But he also has the strength to get down low and find great position and keep the opposing team off the low block. So he's a very versatile player and someone you got to be happy to have in your arsenal.
And Kirksey, coming out of Apple Valley, got a play alongside Tyus Jones, Trey Jones, and then Gary Trent Jr., 2 out of the 3, and possibly 3 out of 3 will find themselves in the NBA. Gary Trent is with Portland, Tyus with the Minnesota Timberwolves, but, Trey Jones at Duke is doing himself, wonders in his early years playing with Zion and R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish, and they're doing themselves. Duke is with a hot start, and they are just taking it to everybody they play.
Yeah, sometimes as a young player, in any sport really, is that when you play around a bunch of guys that play with a high level of play and have a pedigree, that pedigree kind of wipes off on you, if you will, and you kind of learn and you observe and you put into practice the things those guys do that make themselves so successful. And having that is really proven to be big for them.
And that's a nice defensive play there by Cameron Kirksey, as Max Miller had him the advantage, but he just didn't put it away. And here's Jamal Nixon from 3, and that's no good.
Yeah, one thing Kirksey's done really well defensively is keeping his feet, and not a good finish there by Whitelow. I thought that was a wild shot, but apparently he had that one completely under control.
It's the finesse touch.
Yes. But going back to Kirksey, he's kept his feet on the ground and not giving up a little pump fake, easy layups, and he's kept good position, so it's been really beneficial for him defensively.
And Kirksey 1 from 2 from beyond the arc as he gets that one to fall, and the lead increases to double digits.
Yeah, I would have to say right now he's probably the front runner for player of the game. He's doing a whole bunch of things right today for the Mavericks, and it's another great job. Having the wherewithal from Kirksey to get his feet outside the circle, get set, and take the charge on the hard charge in the Winona State offensive player. Amazing job tonight by Cameron Kirksey.
As Kirksey's got 11 points, 3 boards, and 1 block on the afternoon, and that's all you can ask for from the big fella, as he's been having limited minutes, and I'm pretty sure you'll probably see Carter Ashe come to this ballgame after the timeout. And one of the things you got to like the way Minnesota State, the lead was diminished to 4. Now it's to 10. And you got to like what you've been seeing so far here. Morgenthaler, even though that was not the best defensive sequence to start it out, they started to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, showing a little resolve and a little bit of their backbone here. And they've gone back to what they needed to do. Give credit to Winona State, though. They've came out and hit some big shots to get themselves even closer in this game, but Minnesota State being able to put the brakes on that idea and get back rolling in the right direction, back out to a 10-point lead. And now this is where you can really start to chip away and put a team out here. You climb to 15 here, get towards the halfway mark of the second half, and then this is where the good teams find the way to, put the proverbial animal down, if you will, and get the victory and finish off the hard-fought game you've had so far.
And on the court here for Minnesota State, Carson Aaron Holtz, Jamal Nixon, Quincy Anderson, Trey Baumgartner, and Cameron Kirksey. On the floor for Winona State, number 5, Alec Rosner. Number 22, Nick Klug. Number 12, Delonte Payton. Number 1, Mason Domask. And number 11, Luke Martins. And here's Kirksey battling, and he'll take that one over Rosner. And here's Kirksey tying Jawan McLeod with a team high for 13.
Yeah, great patience by Kirksey, turning and facing the rim and seeing all his options in his triple threat position and just simply taking the nice jump shot up and over. Good patience.
And here's Rosner, and there it is again. Alec Rosner, and he keeps lighting it up from beyond the arc.
Yeah, those are things you got to slow down there. Wide open shots, you can't have that. It gives them an easy end back into the game and more confidence going down the road.
And that is Rosner's second 3 as he's 2 for 3 from beyond the arc. And that's a fresh shot clock here for Minnesota State. And here's a mismatch for Cameron Kirksey, as he didn't really have to put any effort into that one as he just ran him down.
That was kind of a weird little transaction of events there. Kind of seemed like Kirksey slowed down a little bit and took that shot, but kind of took that bad shot and got bailed out with a foul there. Nonetheless, good hustle by Kirksey to get a second chance.
And Kirksey's first free throw is good. And Cameron Kirksey, his attempt from the free throw line is 3 for 4. And he'll make that 4 for 5. As he makes both here, and he's made 4 straight from the free throw line. And here is Winona State back on offense with 12:30 to go here remaining in the game. And Kirksey in complete and utter shock as he gets called for a foul, and that's his first.
Didn't quite notice. It must have been his offhand or his lower body, but his whole palm got on that basketball, and I didn't see no body contact there. Good job, but right there, that kind of shows what I was talking about earlier, his length. He was able to give that space, but the offensive player for Winona State knows that he's in contention and going to contend every shot he takes there and able to not get beat off the dribble and stay in front of him. That's the length that Kirksey has.
And here's Luke Martins as he makes both free throws, and the lead is down to 9. And as Domas takes a seat, here comes Caleb Wagner. Caleb Wagner is again having himself a nice little ball game defensively and offensively, as he doesn't have much to show for it in the scoring column. As here's Kirksey with a nice finish. And he's getting his number called as he's got 17.
Yeah, he's doing a great job here tonight on both ends of the floor. Can't say enough good things about him.
And Kirksey's a 6'6" junior. And here's Rosner. We'll kick it out to Peyton. His corner three is off the mark. Brought down by Aaron Holtz, and he'll kick it up to Bumgardner.
Aaron Holtz has kind of done all those little things well tonight. A big jam.
Cameron Kirksey.
You know, a lot of the stuff that Aaron Holtz has done today is not going to show up on the stat sheet. Getting those rebounds, getting out on the fast break, getting the open spots on said fast break. He's done a lot of those little things right, and he's been able to convert on most of the opportunities he's had offensively.
And they'll call a travel there on Peyton as he kind of looks up and he's befuddled.
Yeah, I think he was mistaken the contact for tripping over his own feet there. Contact came as he was kind of stumbling towards the ground. But good job by the Maverick defenders there not to lean into him and give him a cheap foul.
And just on that play alone, he just had 2 left feet. And that's to say, and everybody gets that from now. And the jumper by Aaron Holtz is nothing. Brought down by Peyton, and here's Wagner. And the drive, the kick out, and that'll be a foul on Jamal Nixon. And that is Nixon's first.
Yeah, I got caught being stale feet there and standing upright. Got a little handsy with a hand check and picked up an easy foul there.
And if you're Coach Morgenthaler, here comes Jawan McLeod, but you're taking out Carson Aaronholtz. You got to give that kid a pat on the back for the way that he just played in that little stint that he was in the ball game. It was unbelievable. The defensive efforts, the rebounds, the offensive effort, making a three. You just got to give him one pat on the back, and that's something that you love to see. And here is Martins, and that's no good.
Yeah,
the tip out to Bumgardner.
And the tag off from that, too, you look at the score, it's a 13-point spread. So you got your backup in there able to come in and not only maintain the lead, but extend it to what it is now. And, yeah, I mean, that makes your job pretty easy if you're McLeod now, because the level of play just went up getting them back in the game and a bigger lead. So that's just a great job there by these bench players, seeing a significant increase in minutes tonight.
As that was thrown away by Kirksey, that's his 3rd turnover tonight. Here's Peyton looking to drive, goes baseline, and that's some good defense and a nice finish by Delonte Peyton.
Yeah, he's had a few flashes tonight, that is Delonte Peyton, but not anything he put together too consistently, but he has a great hard drive to the rim there, and a nice job by Quincy Anderson.
Doesn't even use backboard, just lays it in there. That's a nice finish as he trots back with a smile on his face. And here is Klug as he just blows by Bumgardner.
Yeah, see, these guys are having a lot of their offense productivity in spurts here. 2 great possessions, great dribble drive, get into the rim fast there on the past 2 possessions, but struggling to keep it as a whole and do it the whole time.
And that's great effort there by Kirksey, but that comes up short. Klug, 2. Oh, that's a nice block by Jamal Nixon. And here's Quincy Anderson with the nice handles. And here is Bumgardner in the corner. They're just going to slow it down and reset.
Yeah, smart choice there. They're a little frantic there to start that possession. Set something up. You've had a good job all night in your half-court offense.
Kirksey turnaround jumper is good, as he had a hand in his face, and he's to 21.
He just makes it look so easy, and he's doing it with minimal effort. He almost looks like the shot's going up lackadaisically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't look like the effort's in it, but they're finding a way to go through the cylinders, so you can't complain.
And here is Rosner with yet another 3. He's 3 for 4 from beyond the arc. And Kirksey coming off a last game where he only played 16 minutes and had 3 points and 3 boards. So it wasn't like he played, but it just wasn't in the effort that he's showing here tonight.
Yeah, and I think that's part to his injury and still coming back from it. And as we've seen here throughout most of this game, he's back into rhythm, and I think he's looking healthy again, where he's not worried about any injury or anything of that nature. And he's showing why he's one of the top players here on this Mavericks basketball team.
And he's played all 12 minutes here, as that layup by Payton was short, as he bullied his way down there. And here's Rosner's 3, brought down by Cameron Kirksey. And Cameron Kirksey, I kind of like to see the big fellas, play quite substantial minutes and in long spurts of time. And I think this is just for him to get back in the action, and maybe possibly with this lead here, if they can stretch it out beyond 10 points, as that is a foul on Klug, and that'll be immediate timeout here. So now we're going into this. 7:49, 10-point lead. If you're Coach Morgenthaler, what are you saying?
Keep playing hard. Don't give up the cheap stuff per se. You want those easy little defensive breakdowns that give them those open threes that we saw them convert on late in the first half there to get back within 10. And just got to keep playing hard ball. And don't start taking any unnecessary shots. And try to limit yourself in being in a bad position in the possession with the shot clock and getting caught outside, not having really anything going. Keep letting the offense run through your point guard and let Kirksey keep doing what he's doing, because he doesn't seem to be missing much tonight, and he's having a great job on the offensive side, or great night on the offensive end. So just keep playing hard, finish, and that's really it. And we talked about it at the beginning of the game. Winona State, a very young team, not able to finish in these late game stretches. And then Minnesota State, on the other hand, being able to finish in these stretches.
Yeah.
So right now, you're kind of looking at the two, well, I guess if this makes any sense at all, the positive Achilles heel for the Mavericks, and then the actual Achilles heel for Winona coming into a kind of in play here. So you just got to finish, keep doing what you're doing, and for Winona, you got to find a more consistent offensive output here. They keep going in spurts, but then Minnesota will come back and reel off 6 and push it back to 12, push it back to 15, and right now in 10 with a chance to go back up by 12.
Here's Trey Bumgardner, makes the front end of a 1-and-1. And as Frankie Mack checks into the ball game for Kirksey, and Carlos Anderson gets his number back into the ball game. And I want to say this. If you're Todd Eisner, you're down 12, 7:50 to go. You're telling your guys, don't panic. You're 3 stops away and 4 offensive possessions, and you're still, you're hanging on by a nail. You're seriously in this game. You are perfectly fine. Just contain yourself. Am I not right?
No, and you are. And Minnesota State, in the first half, gave them an opportunity to come back into the game. And so
exactly.
Those opportunities may or may not present themselves depending on how the Minnesota State defense closes out here. But they have shown the chance of opportunity to give up wide open shots.
The score shows 64-52 in favor of Minnesota State with 7 minutes to go here, as Taylor will put one up and in, and that lead decreases to 10.
See, right there, that's kind of the thing you can't have, a very poor offensive possession and then get beat going back the other way. Those are that little two-possession swing that can really start something for an opposing team.
And as we take a look here at the point totals, Rosner and Whitelow combined for 22 points, each have 11. And on the side of Minnesota State, as Bumgardner will pull up, and that was a 2, but that's no good, brought down by Whitelow. Cameron Kirksey, Juwan McLeod, 21 and 13. That's a nice production from the juniors pairing. And you got to like, if you're Matt Morgenthaler, you got to like it, and you got to keep one of those guys in there, and that is Juwan McLeod, as he gets an and one here, and that foul will go against Whitelow, and that's Whitelow's third.
Yeah, just as I was going to say, that they just had two possessions there offensively that were not ideal in terms of what they were looking to do there, but the leader and experienced leader in McLeod able to come back and make. No, I was going to wait and hopefully he made that mistake. I did.
I think you jinxed it.
I anticipated too much myself there. I was going to say Andy makes a three-point play, but only walks away
but you already
with two.
started to say it before it went up, so I think you already hit the curse. You hit the broadcasting curse. That's what you're going to say.
He made me misjudge that one. I'm going to put it on him.
And that foul will go on Bumgardner as Bumgardner gets his first, as Bumgardner's got 9 points in this game along with 3 assists. And that'll send number 10, Caleb Wagner, to the line here as we look at Wagner's line, as he's 2 for 7 from the field. And these are his first free throw attempts of this afternoon as he makes his first. And here comes number 21, Cameron Kirksey, in for Jamal Nixon.
Yeah, that's a very, very quick decision there by Coach Matt Morgenthaler there. Defense showing a little bit of a lapse there the last few possessions. Quickly gets Kirksey back in the game to pick up the defensive pressure.
And here's Juwan McLeod to set up the offense for Minnesota State. And the free throw attempts for both sides, 5 for 6 for Winona State and 10 for 13. That's around the team average of what Minnesota State will shoot. On the other side for Winona State, they shoot an average of 81% from the free throw line, and that is a great team average for college basketball. Here's Peyton's corner 3 is good. Lead cut to 8. And here is Juwan McLeod with 5:10 to go, 25 on the shot clock.
And there's the opportunities there that I was just speaking about for Winona. Minnesota State stumbling a little bit here late in the second half. Oh, man.
And that's a foul on Carlos Anderson, his 4th, and that is a crucial foul here on Anderson.
Yeah, Carlos has not been very heads-up play tonight, having some very, very poor fouls he's committed here and the technicals. So he got to be a little bit frustrated with his play tonight. Yeah, that's just ill-advised there. No need to throw the body into it like that. But
and that'll check in Carson Aaronholtz. And like I said, Winona State's not out of this ballgame by any means. You got 5 minutes, you're down by 8. You just got to breathe.
Yeah, you got to settle in. You're kind of gotten a little conservative offensively. They're not attacking the rim at quite as hard as they were just a few minutes ago. I think that's kind of playing the prevent defense in basketball a little bit. Kind of run the shot clock down, take as much time off, and take the shot you get, but they have not gotten very great looks offensively, and have settled for some very poor shot selection choices there. So, see what Coach Morgenthaler draws up here to get them back in and hopefully finish this game out strong.
And I think if you're this, you got to look to the sophomore, 6'6", 210, out of Plainfield, Illinois. Number 1, Jamal Nixon.
Yeah.
I think you need to start getting him in offensively. He hasn't had his effort or his mark on this game really at all tonight, and that's quite unusual. And to me, you have Kirksey in, 6'6". Jamal Nixon, you're 6'6" too. You're going against the guy in, my guess is Peyton defensively. Or no, it actually looks like Domask. And Domask, he got a good 20 pounds and 2 inches on the dude.
Yeah, it's tough right now. They're having trouble when Kirksey's off the floor defensively, and it's kind of finding a tough rotation when you take out Bogartner or McLeod, as they're both on the floor now, of having that dribble drive penetration.
And Taylor, Kevion Taylor, with a nice bucket with a hand in his face.
Yeah, he's made 2 clutch shots here of late to get him back in this game here. It's down to 6 here. Minnesota's struggling and not doing much offensively, playing out around the perimeter and not going back into the paint as they were earlier.
Aaron Holtz with a drive. That's a nice take by Aaron Holtz, but he comes up short.
Yeah, those are ones that you kind of kick yourself for. You got to have that one. That's one of those things that keep you in the lead.
And that was just a blown layup. Like,
absolutely.
He had Whitelow was behind him. There was just nothing to it. He just flat out blew it. And here is Kevion Taylor at the baseline, but Kirksey ain't giving. And here's Wagner. Pull-up jumper from the elbow, no good.
Great job down low by Kirksey. Kevion Taylor had nothing doing there at all. And good job using his position he had on Taylor to get a good box out to let the rebound go out to his own teammate.
I like watching the Kevion Taylor and Kirksey battle. This is just a battle of the 2 best players on each ball club. And you're just, wow. There's just standing jumper here for Cameron Kirksey as he's got himself 23.
Just good patience there. He saw the help coming across the lane there and was able to diagnose it and realize that just getting the jump shot off was going to be his best bet. Showing great patience. Long 3-ball back iron, no good.
And that was taken out of St. Peter, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And here is Juwan McLeod. And I got to like the way that you're looking here. Clock ticks under 3 minutes. Shot clock at 17. Juwan McLeod, take it. And as I say that, he takes a long 3 of his own, and he gets it. Timeout, Winona State. They're third, and they got 1 remaining. And Juwan McLeod, the unsung hero yet again.
Yeah, great call offensively for the Mavericks. Had Kirksey come up, looked like they were going to run the pick and roll that they've ran all night, but instead he takes a little jab step, gets back out, defender falls for it, collapses on Kirksey as they thought the ball was going to go right into him, but McLeod able to find position around the perimeter, knocks down a big 3 that stretches back out to an 11-point lead late here in the second half.
And as I was about to say that, I was saying Juwan McLeod, I was actually going to ask you, if you're the offense and you have Juwan McLeod and Cameron Kirksey right now, though, wouldn't you want to try like some with the pick and roll to get them both? Because, I mean, why not? But then as I say that, Juwan McLeod gets a bucket.
Yeah, and they did a good job there because they know those are the 2 players that they're going to rely on here to make those big shots.
Yeah.
And when they went the key on them there, they thought they were going to go back to the well once more, Minnesota State that is, and get into the rim and using that pick and roll to get the easy layup finish or the little baby jump shot that Kirksey's been very proficient at hitting all night long. And just a great decision. I don't know if it's necessarily designed that way, but McLeod read and diagnosed it perfectly and able to settle in and hit a crucial 3-pointer there.
And as we take a look at the stats here, Minnesota State is shooting 26 for 53, which is a 49% mark from the field and 41% from beyond the arc. And those are some stats that's exactly where they are, except the 3-point percentage is up 5 percentage points. But that field goal percentage is exactly where they are in this stretch and for the season, rather.
I mean, whenever you can hit at close to a 50% clip, almost in any kind of sport, you're doing quite well. And Mavericks staying consistent and staying in rhythm here.
And with 2:30 to go, Winona State has the ball. 15 to shoot. Here's Devin Whitelow going in on Carson Ehrenholtz. That's good D. That board was brought to you by Cameron Kirksey.
Yeah, it was a good job by Ehrenholtz there. Keeping his feet, not going for the jump fake, and able to force a tough contested little floater.
And the team leader with rebounds is the freshman number 13, Trey Baumgartner, who's got 8. That's something that You don't really see
No.
every day a point guard leading your rebound total.
Nope, not at all. And that was kind of funny that you said that because I was looking at Kirksey's rebounds here to see if he was closing in on a double-double, but he only had 3 the last time I checked there. As I try to pull it up again here. That is, yeah, he's had 6, so 3 since about the 10-minute mark here in the second half. But yeah, you are quite right. That is quite unconventional to have a guard to be your leading rebounder.
And with the post-game show following this, we are going to talk about the hot hand of Cameron Kirksey, the defensive play for the Mavericks, and how Winona State just came up just short in this battle on whether or not just shutting him down. And that's a nice move there by Kevion Taylor.
It's been quite a battle under the rim here the last few possessions between Kirksey and Taylor. Taylor getting a little bit better of him right now on the offensive side for Winona State.
And that's a turnover. And here's Peyton with a nice move and a block by Kirksey as he looks down Peyton. And he'll just go shaking his head. And that's a nice move by Jawan McLeod.
How quickly things can change in basketball there. Big block in transition, finding McLeod coming in, streaking on the right side for a nice finish. And Winona State just absolutely struggling to finish a little baby layup there. 3 guys had an opportunity to get that, but not one of them could get it to fall. As we got 50 seconds left, shot clock at 17, about 2 more possessions out of this.
As Minnesota State will improve to 4-0 in conference play, 7-2 overall as they were tied here with Northern State for that. And there is Jawan McLeod with 23 tying Cameron Kirksey. And it looks like we do, in fact, have a ball game here, and that will send Winona State to a record of 4-5, dropping 3 straight, and Minnesota State winning 4 straight. And the final score here tonight, Minnesota State 78, Winona State 62. This was an incredible ball game, an incredible performance by Jawan McLeod and Cameron Kirksey. And that's the final here. And you are watching men's basketball here on the NBA Network. We will be right back with the postgame show.